Welcome to Clark County Today. I'm your host, David Medor. Our guest today is County Commissioner Tom Mielke.
Thank you, David, for having me.
My pleasure. Tell us about the charter vote that just happened a few days ago. It went down in flames.
It went down in flames. It had a little history to it. We had promised people we'd put this on for a vote this year after some classes explaining what a charter is and is not. But it was only the first step. It wasn't about charter yet. It was about allowing freeholders to be on the ballot this year. They have to sign up in the first weeks of June to become a freeholder. And we were going to have 5 freeholders from each commissioner district. Mm-hmm. And after we did this, we as a board promised that we would allow freeholders to sign up and be on the ballot. Well, it came up, and in the last 2 weeks, after this whole year, in the last 2 weeks, a whole bunch of negative things came up of people that didn't want it.
And turned the tide.
I think it's been turned into a political thing because of the effects it may have.
Oh. And if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, there were 2 primary things that charter type of government for the county was supposed to do, or potentially likely would do. One, it would give the people of this county an initiative process so that we could vote on issues like potentially the CRC light rail crossing project. Mm-hmm. The other thing it would do is that it would ensure that each of the county commissioners were voted by the people in their district. And right now, the general election determines who's going to be the county commissioner regardless of the district. Is that correct?
And that's voted countywide.
And this would have potentially fixed that.
When it does, right. As it is today, we vote in the primary in the district, but not in the general election. And for the last 2 decades, for example, North Clark County, the person who was winning never won in the primary. But when the general vote come countywide, the heavy base of voters down south in Vancouver determined who would represent North County, and was never the person that the people of North County chose. And it was the same situation in East County.
So the idea behind having districts is that each area is a little more focused. You can have that area can have their county commissioner who pays attention to them, and those if they're not representing them well, then that district has the power to remove them or to vote them out at the next election.
That's correct.
And right now, it's just countywide, and their vote ends up being diluted by everyone else in the county.
That's right. That way we don't get true representation.
So it sounds like if people want to have more local control, more local voice, have the county commissioner pay attention to them better, it would have moved us in the right direction. It's a shame to hear that it's dead, because those are advantages I think that everybody would win.
I take representation very seriously. I'm not afraid of the people. Because I believe I represent the majority of the people in North County. I think I represent the majority of the people in the whole county, but not necessarily the way the votes are slung.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to invite you to, at any time in the future, as long, in addition to the other 2 commissioners, to come and inform us about these things, because I think a lot of people are taken by surprise after the fact here. This vote is already happened, so this is dead.
It went sideways. You know, when we make a promise, when I make a promise, I stay to it. There was nothing earth-moving about this movement or the putting the freeholders on the ballot.
So that promise you're talking about is that 1 year ago, there was a promise made by the commissioners that said, we're going to study this for a year and put it on the ballot.
Yes.
And that's what's not happening now.
Yeah, the people came to us and said they were going to consider collecting signatures to get it on the ballot. And we said, no, we want to represent you. We'll put it on there for you. But we want to educate the people so that they know what it is and what it is not.
So if people wanted those 2 advantages, and I suppose there are some people that think, well, we don't want either one of those things, but I would assume that most people would, because it gives more power to the people.
Yeah.
If they wanted to say, well, we want this this particular thing to happen, rather than go through a study process, suppose they just say, we want a charter government and county government, and we want these two issues to be the two main things, the privileges that we gain, the rights that we gain. Can they do that? Or do you have to go through this year or two study process?
Once we are a charter county, we don't have to.
I mean, before, just to try to get to the charter county, do you still, does that process to get there, does it always require a year or two of
It starts
study?
with the freeholders, yes. It starts with the freeholders. The freeholders are the group of 15 people that would bring back what they think would represent the majority of the people that they would like.
So it's a necessary step in the process.
Yes.
I see.
But what's amazing and how we recognize those things is that at the end of every class of explanation for fun, he would lay out 10 or 12 things, questions of changing government, electing the administrator, doing different things. And then we were each given 5 pieces of paper, and we'd put those in the envelopes of what we thought was the most important. And the things that you talk about were the most important. It came out every time out of 7 meetings, referendum initiative, and elect our commissioners from within their districts.
And I expect, so basically it was taking a poll among those attendees that we're asking them what issues or what new powers should this new charter government have.
Right.
And those two were common, and I expect that there were other ones in there, then maybe there was some argument for and against those other ones, but certainly those were common. It looked like it was something.
It was great. The people had good ideas, and one of them was that they couldn't put anything forward without having funding for it. So people just couldn't willy-nilly throw something out there. The people that were coming and listening to this and considering something, they recognized you just can't do anything without funding it.
So if you try to
That
do
was
too
good.
much, then you dilute it and nothing happens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you also, there is a 911 tax that just was voted on recently, right? Okay. And if I understand that correctly, if we all look at our phone bills, we'll see multiple line items that add all kinds of different taxes. And one of those is a 911 tax. And that 911 tax pays for our emergency phone system. And that phone system, we send the bill goes to the state, and the state pays the bill. So our 911 tax collected goes to the state, and the state pays the bill. But there's some other pressure going on here. And what's going on with this other pressure to maximize our tax here in Clark County?
The legislature brought a year ago to the county and CRESA, our emergency services, the need for 50 cents for a tax that was automatic that they put on. That we were mandated. We had to put that on there by order of the state to handle voice over internet, so people on a computer could call for help. At that time, they said, we also want you to vote on, the Board of Commissioners, vote on a 20-cent additional tax on per line, be internet, telephone, cell phones, every phone. And at that time, we said, no, we don't think we want to do that. We had, I think it was $2.1 million in reserves.
So we did not need that revenue.
We didn't need that, but the state was mandating, saying if we didn't put that 20-cent tax on, which is the maximum allowable, and that's when they set that, they moved that maximum up, that if we didn't tax that maximum that they set, they would stop paying our 911 bill.
Okay.
And
So in other words, they're putting pressure, the state was putting pressure on Clark County, saying that we want you to raise your tax to the maximum, add this extra tax to each of our phone bills, and not just the landlines, but all the cell phones as well.
Everything.
Everything. Yes. And if you don't do that, we're going to penalize you, and we're going to stop paying your how much hundreds of thousands of dollars is our 911
About $500,000 a month is about what it is.
Does that seem right to you?
No, it's not right. It is. They didn't want to take a tax vote, so they turned and mandated with punishment if we didn't do it down here. And I guess the problem that I'm having, we were only short $300,000 from the maintenance and operation of the program we had going. the tax that they want us to put on raises $1.1 million. So even after
So we could raise our tax sum
we could adjust,
to cover
we
that.
could adjust by priority our budgets and fund it from within our existing current budget in the county. But now we have to turn around and tax the people by almost a mandate over $1 million